Hi, in this video I'm going to go over some ideas related to visualizing a cMOOC. For those who haven't seen a video based on this model before, I'll just go over it quickly. This cloud of cubes represents the participants in a cMOOC, in this case the Creative Learning cMOOC being run out of MIT's Media Lab by Mitch Resnick and his colleagues. This set of red boxes down here represent Mitch and his team running the MOOC. And these are all the participants in the MOOC floating out here in the proverbial cloud. And the lines just represent communications of some type between people. These are the artifacts produced by the MOOC, and one of the issues is that these are as typical in a cMOOC, these are in all kinds of places. So, we have these videos that are stored in one location, and tweets related using the course's hashtag, Media Lab course. Those are in another location. These are various articles and videos which Mitch and the team have prepared or set aside for us, pointed to. Those are in another location. That's not so important. This is a chat that occurred, the chat transcript that occurred. That's in still another location. A lot of discussions within Google Plus groups. Those are additional locations. People are writing blog posts on their own blogs related to the course, yet another place that artifacts are accumulating. In the case of LCL, there are lots of subgroups where artifacts or articles are accumulating. A lot of the work in the course involves Scratch, so these are all Scratch projects that are in yet another location. These are turtle art images, which could be stored. Most of these were shared on the Google Plus group, but they might be somewhere else. This is a Stack Exchange where we were asked to ask and answer some questions. Yet another location where LCL artifacts were produced. A Google spreadsheet listing courses that mini courses that people wanted to teach associated with the course. And those might involve Google Hangouts or videos that were produced, or yet other things in other locations. So as typical with a cMOOC, stuff is all over the place, right? And that's part of the fun of cMOOCs and the creative aspect. And every cMOOC is different in terms of the tools that are used. And that's great, and you'd hate to see that change, but it would be great also to have better ways to collect information about what people have posted and how that's influencing the entire community that the cMOOC is. So so that's sort of what I'm thinking about here. And one thought is that perhaps people are actually trying different approaches. Some people are trying to have an aggregator based upon WordPress. I've seen that's one approach. Personally, from my experience with databases, I think a database is would be a good approach to handle this. And so an open source database like Drupal, where there's a large community developing Drupal modules, might be a great place for a cMOOC platform to evolve, which would facilitate gathering information, aggregating information about all of the artifacts that are produced within a cMOOC. So just wanted to play around with some ideas related to that. So here the boxes represent individuals in the MOOC. Each box has two pieces, well, actually multiple pieces. The outer box, the color represents some attribute of the person participating in the MOOC. So in this case, I'm just saying green is male and tan is female. And the inner box represents something about some attribute of how they've contributed to the MOOC. And this is pretty arbitrary, right? I mean, just playing around with ideas here. What I have in these little boxes is sub-boxes or cubes. It's just a way to connect, to show relationships between people. So in this case, what these lines represent is comments or likes. Let's say the red represents comments and the blue represents likes from people on things that artifacts that this individual has posted. So the red would indicate this is a person who's posted a lot. Exactly what that means doesn't matter. You could define that any way you wanted to. And these are the people that have commented or liked this person's posts. Now, one of the interesting things that hasn't been explored too much is the dimension of time, right? We've got really a 3D space here because we're dealing with SketchUp, but this representation of the participants is basically a Cartesian 2D space. But you could run this if you had all the data. You could run this forwards and backwards, and perhaps pick up interesting information based upon patterns that emerge over time. The positioning of these people here could also be sorted. In this case, I imagine that they were sorted just in terms of the order that they joined the MOOC, right? So, from newest, I'm going left to right here with column dominant, not row dominant. So first person, second person, third person, X person, X plus one person, right? But you could sort it however you wanted quite easily, right? Once you had all the information in a database about all the participants. So I just have some labels, legends for this. Also related to this idea is that you could have a series of graphs or what's the word, gauges, perhaps, going on the dashboard idea, that are customizable by the user. So this user might be interested in the number of tweets over the time of the MOOC or some time set, which would, all of this would be customizable, presumably. And they could choose, if that was something they were interested in, they could have that gauge on their dashboard. Another user, cube representing our user, might at some point be interested in something totally different. So what we have here is the same set of individuals in the MOOC. And by the way, using this rectangular grid approach, very easy to just rescale the squares based upon the number of squares or people that you need to represent, right? So you could represent a lot of people on a screen just by shrinking the sizes of these squares. So in this case, the larger square, the background square, is representing age. So we have older people over here on the left, and then gradually to younger people. And then the inner square represents the number of comments that the person has done. And again, you would want this to be customizable. So the inner square could represent the number of posts or the number of anything that you have in the database that person has contributed. And again, you could run this over time. You could sort it different ways. You wouldn't have to sort it necessarily by age, even though that's the information of the background box. You could sort it by sex or gender or location or whatever. Again, whatever information you have. Again, with the idea of the dashboard, right? It'd be wonderful to have some way of pulling out trending ideas. Exactly how you would do that, I'm not sure. So have some ideas. You might be able to do it with likes and tags and whatever. But and then perhaps some sort of graphing of how that idea has trended over the length of the MOOC. And this would presumably be scrolling, and you could customize it in other ways. Again, just another idea about having some sort of dashboard gauge that the users can customize and choose the ones that are of most meaning to them. And just, all right, so in this case, the user is interested in just people who have commented on their posts, right? This is the user represented here. And they're interested in terms of the people who've commented on their posts. The background level is the education, right? Just 3 categories. Again, this would be customizable. And then also knowing how many artifacts for the MOOC each of these users that have commented on their posts have created, right? Again, this would all be customizable. I don't think I need to say that anymore, right? And you could also run this backwards and forwards with time. And any user could, change, customize. If that user we were just looking at wanted a graph like this, it would just be some sort of panel or interface that would allow them to change their what they're seeing. And presumably over time, users would experiment with different things and with the idea to try to extract information about the MOOC itself and the participants in the MOOC. And so, we have this very complex structure, which is the cMOOC, which is both the participants and the artifacts that the participants produce, and the relationships between the participants that develop, and the knowledge that develops in the heads of the participants over the course of the running of the MOOC. So there's a whole lot going on. And the idea is just to try to have some way to allow the participants in the MOOC to be able to see sort of what the MOOC itself, right? What representations of the MOOC, abstractions of the MOOC that can help participants identify patterns and accelerate their learning and the knowledge of the group as well, and make this a more rewarding and useful experience for everyone. So that's where I am. I will share this file and would love feedback from any of you who've bothered to listen to this. Okay, thank you.